Hi guys, so we're back. Wednesday evening, it's been a long day, and it's just been so amazing to be back at work. I'm not even gonna lie, I love it. I love being back at work. I love dealing with my clients that I deal with. Nothing better than just to be there and be able to support them and be there for them and just let them have, a day, 2 days, 10 days, 15 days of support and care from somebody. So, with that being said, we kind of talked about coping skills last time. And let me tell you, today was the day. Every coping skill needed to be discussed, learned, practiced, everything. When you're dealing with people that have dealt with trauma time and time again, or even just one time, it's all a crisis, whether it's once, whether it's 15 times, whether it's the whole life, it's all crisis. So when you're dealing with crisis situations, and traumatic situations, it's so important to be mindful that sometimes getting that coping skill isn't possible. Sometimes reaching that client that I have, or the kid that I'm working with, sometimes reaching them and just be like, use your coping skills. That doesn't always work. So I don't want you to think that I practice or tell them and they start using it immediately. That's not how it works. Oftentimes in my line of work, I do residential. I will express that. So in my line of work, I often get kids that have just dealt with so much. And I can't even imagine what they're going through. It has to be hard. It has to be confusing. It has to be frustrating. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So what do you do when you just can't find a coping skill to use? You just go from 0 to pissed off in 3 seconds. What do you do? What happens? Well, what happens is in that moment you create more chaos for yourself, and your behaviors begin to reflect that. So you start hitting things, you start cussing and yelling, or you run, or you say things you don't want to say, or you do things you don't want to do. And it's so hard to bounce back from that. So once you have felt the feeling of anger, you don't know what to do, and so you just blow up. We'll call it blow up. We blow up. And what happens with that is the outcome of that can be long-term affecting. I deal with kids, but it's not only kids. I see people that can go the same pattern. Adults, okay? Let's take a relationship, okay? Domestic abuse. Let's just talk about it. So it happens because person A says something, and then person B, hold on, I didn't even move my mic close. Okay. So person B, which is the person that explodes, gets very angry very quick. And instead of stopping and thinking about it, they just react. And the reaction is normally not that it is favorable. So because person A said, I don't want that, person B got upset because they weren't going to get their way, or that wasn't going to happen as they expected. So person B responds and reacts negatively. Let's say they hit person A. Guys, that's jail time. That's not good. Domestic abuse is not good. Let's say, think about your kids. You're driving down the car and your kid's just like, mom. You've had a bad day, long day, hard day. And I know parents that have told me I just snapped and I hit them, turned around and slapped them. And they have to pay for that. The consequences are so great. And it's so valuable because In first situation, we got one person that's going to possibly sit in jail or prison for a while for domestic assault. In the second scenario, we have a parent who's slapped their child out of frustration and anger, who's now going to have to go through parenting classes and not have their child. And, they get deemed as bad for one mistake. So I think it's important just to go ahead and to reflect on this and say, if we are mindful of the long-term effect, okay, of our actions, okay? So especially when it comes to anger and using coping skills to cope with that. Our anger is so controlling. It controls so much of us, and it's so hard to work through. But I tell people all the time, if you can just put in your head daily, nothing is worse than getting in more trouble, or nothing is worse than, not having my child, or nothing is worse than, being in prison. If you can wake up and remind yourself of something that could be bad, sometimes that will motivate us just to go ahead and breathe, think it out, just do what we need to do, because it's hard. And if you just start practicing it and you learn it, now you can help your children, you can help your grandchildren, you can have the tools you need to help them get through times. And eventually, if we all get in this pattern of not only talking about coping skills, but using coping skills, practicing coping skills, educating others about coping skills, then what will happen is we will see that people learn that it's okay to take a break and to be mad. I've never once told somebody, you can't be mad. That's just not it. You can be mad, but what you choose to do with that anger is where it's a concern. If you choose to be mad and act out, then you choose the consequence, okay? So that's an active, conscious thought every day with my kids that I work with. Choose your consequence. Know your consequence, okay? So if you want to get up and you want to have a bad day and you want to fight with kids, or you want to cuss out workers, whatever you want to do, choose your consequence. Whether it be you don't get to play with the tablet, or you don't get this time, or whatever it could be, choose your situation and think of a consequence. If you're one that has a short temper and you're feeling yourself getting on the edge, and you're seeing that you're falling into that pattern of where hitting somebody is okay, no, it's time to stop and evaluate that situation. Know your consequence. If your kids are on your last nerve, and because guess what, that's normal, that's okay, that's even okay. And you don't reach out for help and say, hey mom, I need a break, take your grandkid. But you choose just to continue on and not ask for support or help. You're choosing your consequence, okay? So I think that's why we all need to be so mindful of coping skills, the benefit of using them, the benefit of knowing how to use them, the benefit of being able to talk about them, the benefit of being able to say, I'm mad and I need some time, or I'm sad and it hurts, but I need some time, or I'm sad and I want to talk, or I'm mad and I want to just go take a walk. It's okay to hear that. And when we hear that from others, we should be okay letting them do that, because they're well enough to know that they need to take a moment and step away and do them, to then be able to regulate and come back to a situation to where it's not so harmful. Okay? So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of the consequence. Be mindful of the situation, and be mindful of, how those coping skills can help you. I think that, depending on age level, there's a ton of coping skills. One that we use a lot is sports. We have kids that have to deal with, 5 other kids in the location I work at. And often very different backgrounds, but the same. Okay? And you would be surprised how often they get on each other's nerves and piss each other off and just what their response to that is. And I could do one of two things. I could get mad at them for telling me I've got to take 5 because they're leaving the location, or I can let them leave the location, know that they just called their coping skill, and they walked outside to play basketball for a little bit. They come back in, things have calmed down, everything's good, life's great, and we just move on. Just move on. And it's okay. It's definitely okay. So we have to be okay with using coping skills. We have to be okay with, talking about our coping skills and identifying our coping skills. We have to be okay with all that. And that does go back to motivation, because if you're motivated to try to get better, if you're motivated to try to do better in life, no matter what it is, if you're motivated to get better test grades, you should be motivated to use coping skills when you're feeling anxiety and stress and like it's just not going to happen and you're going to fail. If you're motivated to lose weight, you got to use your coping skills of just taking a breath and saying, no, I'm not going to eat this at this moment. I'm going to take a break and it's going to be okay. If your goal is to save money and you're fighting that desire and that urge and you get frustrated because you really want those new pair of shoes, but you can't because you want to save for money for a house, you have to stop and say, what's the consequence? What do I get if I spend the money on the shoes? You lose money out of the house fund. What do you get if you stop and you save? You are motivated to reach your goal. You should be proud of that. And it's okay to feel proud of something like that. It's okay to feel proud when you've used a coping skill or when you've, came out of a hard time. It's okay to be okay with that. So it is all motivation. It's motivation for change. And I know this is going to go a little bit of everywhere. Like I said, we're just having some chit chats. I'm just trying to, like today we talked about this, and then the next video could be something else. But in my practice, okay, motivation is huge. Motivation is how we do everything in life. We have to motivate ourselves to do more, to say more, to feel more. It's all motivation. So please stick around. We're going to keep on going. I'm just going to keep on talking and we're going to see how it goes. Going to make some videos up ahead for next week because I'll be honest, I am tired. Like, I took a long time off work, y'all. I am beat. So I'm going to make some pre-recordings. William's doing some cooking. We have a few things lined up for our Monday videos. So just busy. Not only that, swim season. I want to be able to go swimming more, go to the lake. So yeah, I'm going to spend some time recording some videos here coming up. But for today, I'm going to sign off saying I hope you had a great day. Remember, I am not a therapist. I am only giving helpful information. I will tell you that I am studying or starting to study. I know what I need to work on to get this degree. I'm done with my degree. I just need to get my licensure done. So there you have it. Yeah. So for now, I just want to thank you guys for listening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And have a great Thursday. Thanks, guys.